Thank you very much for this invitation and for the opportunity to share some of our experience and some of our thoughts. I was also in Copenhagen, but I didn't have the happiness to be with both beautiful ladies that are here, because I was in the negotiation part of Copenhagen with the government, what I call the matrix, because that's the real matrix, you know. There were around 8,000 to 10,000 negotiators going around and around, thinking that they were negotiating, while in another room there were 29 countries that were deciding what was going to be the outcome of Copenhagen. The last day, the Friday night, I remember in a G77 meeting, we were discussing the text. And suddenly in the internet, we saw the news, Obama announcing the Copenhagen Accord. And we said, what are we doing here? What are we negotiating? There are another guys that are already deciding the future of everybody. And you know, they came at 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 a.m. Can you imagine a negotiation like that? Saturday. And the chair came and said, well, here I have 29 countries that are friends of the chair. They have come to an agreement. This is the agreement. It's called the Copenhagen Accord. Now you have 60 minutes to analyze it, and then you come back and we're going to approve it. There was a vast majority of delegates of different countries that immediately began to clap and say, no, we are not going to accept that. And different countries began to say, that is an unacceptable procedure. We as Bolivia, Venezuela, Cuba, Tuvalu, Nicaragua, said we are never going to accept that accord. Because if we accept that, there is a precedent. It's the end of the UN. We don't have, I mean, I have to go back to my country and wait until I receive an email saying, hey, this is what 29 countries have decided. There are not countries of first class and second class. We have come to a conference where we all are going to negotiate and we all are going to agree. And in the Climate Change Convention, all decisions must be taken by consensus. So when we stand up and we said, we don't support that, there is no consensus, it was impossible to approve the Copenhagen Accord. So in a way, President Evo Morales said, in Copenhagen, we didn't lose. We were able to stop one of the biggest atrocities that some corporations, through some governments, were going to impose to the whole world. The convention only took note of the Copenhagen Accord. To take note in UN language means to take note. You're not in favor, you're not against. You just say that there is a Copenhagen Accord of some countries. Until now, nobody knows. If you ask the US negotiator or anyone, how many countries are really part of this accord? They began to be a little bit nervous, because nobody knows if the 29 are going to really associate to this accord. So they are putting a lot of pressure now in New York, in the UN, in order to back up the accord. And we are saying, those governments that want to commit to that accord, they can do it outside the UN, because officially that document is not a decision of the UN Convention on Climate Change. So you cannot ask the executive secretary that it's in Bonn to implement that Copenhagen Accord, because that is an accord of some countries. So that is the situation that we have now after Copenhagen. What can happen if they are able to put the Copenhagen Accord as the outcome? They are just going to go to Mexico to try to legitimize this accord. So we, as Bolivia, said, what can we do in front of this situation? The best thing that we know, we have to promote a meeting of social movements around the world. Because the only force that we can have in order to stop this maneuver is to have a very big coalition of social movements, scientists, jurists, governments, progressive governments, revolutionary governments that come with another proposal. The proposal that we want to build in Cochabamba in April. If we are not able to build that coalition, the future, not of us, but especially of future generation, is going to be very dark.